to the Quiet Warrior Show, where we help top leaders find their pathway to incredible success and a lifetime of happiness. Here is your host, Tom Dutta, the Quiet Warrior.
All right, everybody. I love the intro music, and sometimes I get carried away, and I'll be singing with it. And thank goodness I didn't do that today. Welcome to the Quiet Warrior Show. My name's Tom Dutta, like Butta, and we're here live streaming. It's the next generation of broadcasting. So we're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. And if you're on the feed, you can actually chat with the guest and myself through the chat feature. So I'll be looking for that. Today we got a great story to tell. In fact, this lady that I met, it was through a booking agent for my show. I was blown away by the depth of the work she does and the story. In fact, connected on so many levels. However, before we get started with that, I want to update you on something I've been working on, everybody. So we're going to put another camera shot on the screen here. See if I can get that. There we go. Let me just take me out of there for a minute. All right, this is in studio here, and I want to just show you that we just published my second book. And when I had my brain injury in 2018, this was actually put on hold for a while. And my co-author and chief illustrator is Donna Setterland. You can see the beautiful cover there. And it's actually a book. It's an anthology book. So it has 12 contributors and stories. You like the back there? Kind of funky, the mask. And this was really building on my first book, The Way of the Quiet Warrior. It's a companion. But as you know, I went through a brain injury and went into mental illness and all these things that totally were changing my life. And I decided to do something with that. So thank you to Donna, who I would speak and then she would sort of write my words. And then the thing about the book I want to show you is it's fully illustrated. So you can see how beautiful it is. And today I just want to read a short passage. This is one of our contributor stories, and it's from a fellow named Kerry Carter. Now, if you're a football fan, you know, Kerry Carter, he played for the NFL and the CFL. He won championships. Let me read you his story. It's called Tragedy to Triumph. There are moments in our lives that define us. That is, if they do not destroy us first. As I look back, I can recount several critical decisions, life choices, and transitions, both physical and mental. However, one of these moments stands out as one that would shape my professional future and stay with me as a North Star to gauge the effect my life had on others. So here comes the I think what is probably one of the difficult parts to read here. While playing college football, I took a handoff and broke through the line of scrimmage where I was met by a safety coming up to make a tackle. I lowered my shoulder and felt a hard thud when we collided. When I got up and started to make my way back to the huddle, I noticed the safety was still lying on the ground and the trainers were running onto the field towards us. Oh my God, can you just think about that for a minute? I mean, he was in Stanford University, apparently a winning running back. They were practicing and getting ready for some championships. It says he was eventually carted off the field and rushed to the hospital where it was reported that he was paralyzed from the neck down. When I learned of his passing 1 year later, I didn't know what to do, how to feel. I even had thoughts of quitting the game of football. Oh my God, everybody, just think about that. Can you imagine? I mean, he's in his young years, Kerry, and as we can see, you know, you see his photograph there. He's a fairly good-looking young guy. Imagine getting faced with that at this early stage of a career where you're going on to the dream of playing football. How do you deal with that mentally? So I'm just going to read you one more quick passage here. What you see in the book is we asked the contributors to give us their happy, helpful hacks. So we wanted to know, okay, what are the things that you do to journey through this mental situation? And here's his happy hacks. We'll finish on this. Number 1, wake up early. Number 2, prioritize health. Number 3, foster good habits. 4, use your platform. 5, don't sweat the small stuff, which I really love. And so I'm going to just come back on the screen now, everybody, and to talk to you. This book is now on, you can get on Amazon, but it's really an important part of the work I'm doing to lift the stigma of mental illness. And I can't wait for you to see more of that work. All right, again, now we're going to bring on our special guest. She's been patiently waiting in the green room while I'm bragging about my own stuff. But today the spotlight is all on her. So welcome to the show, Lisa Wilkes.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, that's great. Lisa, we're getting that static again. So we are live, so it's okay. If you want to just check your settings again, it might have diverted back
All
to.
right.
Everybody,
Yeah.
you're peeking in the studio live with us, so this is all going to be cleaned up. We're actually going to be producing an international podcast and also a YouTube premiere video. So it's all good.
Okay, how am I sounding?
Okay, it's perfect. All right.
Okay.
You're
Fingers
great.
crossed.
Yeah.
Let's have it
Yeah.
this way.
Excellent. It's great to see you. So, usually the shows are produced where they have the little intro and they afterwards they tape something and stick it in about introducing you. I'm going to actually just embarrass you and introduce you myself. You've got a great background. This is what came to me, everybody, in the biography. Lisa is an American author, licensed social worker. And by the way, we talked just a minute ago and you were in Florida. A year ago, you were in Texas. Wow.
Yep.
And I'm on the west coast of Vancouver, Canada, everybody. She's a social worker, flight attendant, animal rescuer. She spent 13 years in the aviation industry, jetting across the globe, collecting inspiration for her writings. She had a debut novel, Flight Path. It's a fast-paced romance laced with serendipitous encounters. Boy, those words are getting my excited. The book follows a daydreaming stewardess as she learns to navigate a new terrain, unconditional love. And then the next one is a second novel, Mid-Flight. And so that's what we're going to be talking a lot about today, because that's the book that I've read, and I'm going to surprise you with some exciting review I've done for that. So again, welcome to the show, Lisa. Just to tell us a little bit about this thing with the, there was some the animal rescue part. Let's just have some fun here. What animals do you have, and tell us their names?
Sure. So I have 2 cats and a dog. I have Boston, Kit Kat, and then my dog is Stella. So those are my permanent
Kit
fur
Kat.
babies, but yes, Kit Kat, like the candy bar. But I have a revolving door of foster animals. So I partner with several different organizations, and I'm on the leadership board for my airline's animal transport team. So I have my hand in a couple different rescues, but I tell you, I like to joke that the animals just find me, because I just, every time I get a foster cat or dog adopted, and it's just this sense of elation, like, okay, another life saved, and I'm so thrilled. And then somehow another animal in need just walks into my life, walks straight into my heart. And then I'm back to square one with another foster in the house. So I've kind of just accepted it. My animals are troopers. They're good sports, because there are many strangers that come stay with us for a bit before they get adopted. And my animals are just kind of like, okay, Mom, who did you bring home now?
I just love it. And that's part of what the show's about, everybody, the hero's journey, which is really, see, Lisa's telling us a story now. Lisa Wilkes, I should make sure I say your last name for the podcast crew. But you're telling me a story, and this is what's happening to me. My brain now is taking in that story. I'm a bit of a geek about neuroscience, so pardon me. It's actually something I'm working on because of my brain injury. But Lisa, and to the audience, it's a teaching moment, because everybody, I could ask Lisa just crafted questions and have her go on and on, facts and figures. But when somebody tells you a story, if you put an MRI on your brain, it actually lights up multiple parts of my brain. So she got into the part that likes characters, and particularly I like characters that have stories, and they sometimes will end up in happy endings. But that triggers emotion in me, Lisa. So let me tell you where my brain went when you said about Kit Kat. Okay, this is how powerful you are and why I love you in your story, your ability to write and create. I thought about my daughter, who's 24 years old. Her name's Kalinda. She's across the country. I get emotional because I haven't seen her. She's in university. And she has 2 cats, Mars and, oh gosh, she's going to hate me for. So I'm thinking about her now. In that, as soon as you were talking about it and said Kit Kat, I was thinking about Mars and the other cat, and they're rescues. And I miss her. But I'm living through you, and you got me emotional. So now it's like, I'll never forget you. But the other thing I thought about is my miniature Shih Tzu, Shadow, who used to sit down here in the studio with me. She passed a few years ago, but she was 16 years old. So I had such a great experience. And part of me, Lisa, I started experiencing a little bit of regret, a little sadness, not because she passed, but I really learned something that here you are bringing in rescue animals, giving animals who need a second chance. And I was asking myself when you were talking, I wonder if I was kind enough to baby Shadow. Did I treat her well enough? Did I ignore her too much? So these are all the thoughts that are going on in my head. So taking on that other journey, and I'll finish with the last one. Now, as you're talking, I'm kind of looking behind you going, I hope one of those animals pop up in your screen there. And
they're around here, so it is it's likely to happen.
Yeah. So let's just I'm going to talk back and let you take things forward with some thoughts. I just wanted to use that as an example of why I think you are amazing in what you do for a living. Is you write stories, fiction novels. And I want to just plug something here. Hold up that book that you have. We were just say the title out loud for us.
It's Mid-Flight.
Yeah, everybody, guess what? I got one too.
Oh, matching.
And I'll turn the covers over because there's so much cool stuff on the back. So congratulations on this book. And do you remember when I got your introduction to come on the show? I got the usual standard bio. Here's my stuff. Here's how great I am. And that's kind of what I just read. And I always in my little mind say, that's BS. Like, come on, there's lots more to this lady because life's not a straight line up. And I asked you this question and you had written me back. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
How did it make you feel when I asked you that question? What did you go through in your mind and as you started writing?
So I actually consider myself.
Oh, we have that static. That static's going on again.
Oh boy.
That's
yep.
okay.
Here
no
we
worries.
go. Let's see if we can fix that. I'm gonna try something.
Yeah, everybody has Lisa's adjusting her sound there. What happens is, I can hear. It's just talk at me.
Yes.
Okay, that's better. Yeah, so far so good.
Let's see, how does that sound?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, perfect. Okay.
That's good.
Yeah, that's perfect. All
okay,
right.
So we're good.
We're good.
All right, let's see how long this lasts. Okay, hopefully we stay good. So I'm actually, I consider myself. We're good.
Yeah. Let me just go 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Okay, go.
Okay. So I do consider myself a fairly straightforward person. I like to kind of own the title of being an open book as a human being. And so I do enjoy delving into, a deeper look at the things that kind of make me tick and the things that have shaped me into the person that I am, the things I'm working on, the things that I consider my strong suits. So it's not difficult for me to talk about my personality, my past. I also have spent a lot of time really working through a lot of kind of unfortunate and unpleasant experiences earlier in life. I am the type of person who believes that stigmas in general haven't really done a whole lot of good for anyone. So yeah. I'm pretty open about my battle with anxiety. It's a lifelong battle. I have ups and downs. I, anticipate that it's going to be something I'm working through every day that I'm alive. I am pretty straightforward about kind of abuses that have occurred in my past. I think that really what makes people feel trapped often, or what makes them feel just kind of hopeless, is the inability to really show the world who they are and to be fully transparent and honest. For me, authenticity is kind of the key to a healthy and fulfilling life. So I was happy to tell you a little bit more about myself, my writings.
That's great.
Sometimes I talk a little bit too much.
Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with talking too much. In fact, I've been told that I don't shut up. So radio is actually helping me to be a better listener. I'm going to just put something on the screen here, see if I can do this. So we're going to just bring that on there. Aha. So you can see us there. I bet you didn't think I was going to put this up there. And so everybody, I'm just delighted, but I'm just going to, you can't see this if you're on the podcast, but this is what Lisa, you wrote back several things, and I highlighted some things here because I wanted to really have teaching moments. So, everybody, you heard Lisa talk about the anxiety and whatnot. Lisa, can you just read? I don't know if it's big enough for you to read that first highlighted yellow paragraph. It's better to hear it
I
from
think
you.
I can read it.
Yeah.
I've struggled with anxiety as well. There's a long history of mental illness in my family. I think my worries manifested in rampant insomnia, not the occasional sleepless night, but decades worth of agonizing nights spent awake, even though my body was completely exhausted. I wrote my first book when I was 8 years old, a silly tale about a rescued cat.
Let me just take that off screen for a minute. And I chuckled there because there's a thing called your brain's a prediction machine. So I don't know if anybody's ever told you this, but my brain, while you're talking, is trying to predict what is she going to say next? What is she going to say next? My brain's trying to tell me the reality of what's going on. I never expected you to say you wrote your first book at 8 years old about a rescue. And so when the brain it's called a benign failure of prediction. It's just a benign failure. It actually chuckles. It laughs. So you heard me chuckle. So you're having an impact on me today. I'm blown away. Let's talk about that little paragraph for a minute, and then we'll get the book held up again. So struggling with anxiety, you talk about a long history of mental illness in the family. Help me understand a bit more about that, because I have that thread in my family as well.
I think there was never an official diagnosis with a lot of the older generations. I think, first of all, they tried to sweep it under the rug. And second of all, even if there had been a diagnosis, they might not have believed it or told anyone about it. It was very much considered a shameful thing, which really makes me sad, because the truth of the matter is that it is common to struggle with mental illness. And I hope to shatter all of those barriers that we've erected to keep us from discussing the topic. But it's common. The CDC estimate that half of adult Americans will have some severe mental illness manifestation throughout their lifetime. I would say that's higher. That's probably self-disclosed. So it's
Yeah.
probably higher than that. It's not the exception to the rule. It is kind of the rule. And I think that we need to have dialogue about it. But for sure, my grandparents, especially on one side of the family, battled really severe depression, had a lot of obsessive behaviors and compulsions that were very toxic to those around them. And I think that type of thing, if left unaddressed and, if ignored, deliberately, willfully ignored, I think it has an impact on the next generation, and that has an impact on the next generation. It's that cycle, and it really takes an acknowledgement and like persistence to break free from it. And I hope it ends with me, because I am more than happy to talk about my experience, even the real tough parts. But insomnia is so funny because
Lisa, let's just pause for a sec. We're getting that static back again, so something changed back. So that's all right. Don't worry. I mean, just take a quick peek and try to adjust that again.
I can't figure it out. I just
That's
can't.
all right.
Let me try something.
I think it might be just because you're using Bluetooth. Bluetooth's funny because it just tends to have a mind of its own. But we'll just keep adjusting it. Don't worry. We made it through a third already. So
can you hear me now?
Keep saying hello, testing one.
Can you hear?
Yeah, it's still staticky. Yeah, it's good. That's better. It's good. Can you hear me?
It's good.
Can you hear me? Just talk to me. So, testing 1, 2. Yeah, it's still a little staticky. See if go back to what you had done before. So right now you're okay. That's all right. Yeah, I just talk. So talk so I can talk about your cat or something.
Well, she's sitting behind me.
Okay.
At the moment, curled up. Can you hear me? Is it?
Yeah.
Static?
No, I can hear you fine. It is that static, and I think it's just whatever your setting is on your microphone.
I'm trying. I promise. Let's see if I can. Let's see.
The earbuds were fine. I think it's just something to do with the mic setting. iPads are finicky too. And you're on a
Can
Wi-Fi
you hear
connection.
me now? Is it still staticky?
Yeah, it's still staticky.
Yep. And it's still staticky.
Yeah, it's
Okay, how about now? I switched it
now
over again.
it's perfect. Yeah, it's good.
Okay, I'm gonna need this to work because
Okay,
my lifelong anxiety is peaking.
okay. So we have a couple options. A couple options we can do is one, if you're feeling that, and that's why we connect, we can pause and reschedule, and then maybe you can play
Nope.
around with your. No, you want to keep going? Okay.
I
All right.
mean, I'm open to that, but I also have
Okay, let's push
learned
through. Let's push
to
through.
kind of,
Yeah,
yeah,
perfect.
to just
Let's push
challenge
through.
myself and do things.
Great. Okay. Awesome. So three. I'm going to just say 3, 2, 1, and then let me start talking again, and don't
Sure.
worry about it. So I want 3, 2, 1. All right. Everybody, Lisa Wilkes, teaching moment on the show here. Her rescue cat's behind her. She's in studio communicating with me and having some sound issues. What she doesn't know is how remarkable you're doing because you're adjusting and fixing it. I want to tell you a story because this is a good time for me to teach you something. I struggle with generalized anxiety, and that's just something we've been talking about. So we're going to get into anxiety a bit more. But everybody, I did a show about a month ago, Lisa, and I had somebody on, and I forgot to hit the record button. And the whole show, we did an hour, and it was very hard to get this person. And I was just horrified. And so after the biggest, what do you think the biggest challenge was for me after the show? Do you have any sense? What do you think? If you're a host and
I
that
would
happened,
guess really to quit berating yourself or to kind of forgive yourself or overlook that, one tiny detail because you still got an hour-long conversation, might not have been recorded.
exactly. And it was sad, but the biggest part is that you nailed it, and this is why your work is so cool. I was beating up on myself. I didn't look at the 99% things that went right, but also the biggest thing I was challenged with, Lisa, was actually how am I going to go and call this person and tell them and ask them to do it again? And I went through this thing. Should I lie to them and say, oh, there was a glitch, I don't know, or should I just be honest? And I actually, they call it in cognitive behavioral therapy that I took for my own mental illness, they call it the opposite action, right? The false promise of avoidance. I just right away sent an email to them and said, it's horrible. I'm so sorry, but this is what I did. And then we rebooked it. So the reason why I'm telling you that is we got through it, we read it again, and the next one was even that better. So what you've given us by the sound thing that's happening is when I get to edit this, I get to edit a little snippet of you with the sound issue and then this story, put that in there, and it brings even that much more depth to the conversation. Because how many people out there, by the way, Lisa, live streaming, have had sound issues? It happens all the time.
I would guess it's a common
It's
issue.
it's so it's so common, and I've had other people go through it with me, and they panic. They literally panic, and they get angry and frustrated sometimes with themselves. You're just so calm because you've had a lifetime of dealing with it. So let's get back into the story. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put something up here again. And so this time I'm going to look at it and just make a few comments. So everyone, we're into Lisa's story, and we're leading back up to the why she does what she does. So you heard a little bit about the generational mental illness and things like that. A second paragraph, something productive to do during those early morning hours instead of just losing myself to anxiety and self-criticism. And she's talking about she's found something, some inspiration through writing. Next paragraph, during early adolescence, I developed an eating disorder. I'd been a perfectionist my whole life, but that quest for so-called flawlessness has a dark side, especially for women who are under intense societal pressure to portray a very specific image. I knew I was damaging my body, but the addictive side of my brain did not care. In fact, maybe that was subconsciously part of my goal. I found healing through a deep connection to people and animals. Talk about that a little bit, just a little bit of that part of perfectionist and the body piece. What tells more about that?
It took me a few years to get to the point where I could actually talk about it and be
Yeah.
open with it because it was just such a deeply personal issue, and it was so hard for me to bare my soul, even to really trusted individuals, members of my family, my friends, because it felt like just this ridiculous failure in an area that should be so simple. You know,
Yeah.
my addiction was not to a substance. My addiction was to basically this lifestyle and this withholding of something needed for survival, because it gave me a sense of control and like a sense of peace that there's one thing in my life that is 100% in my hands and no
Yeah.
one else is impacting it. And it wasn't a conscious or deliberate effort. I mean, I played sports in high school. I needed to keep my nutrition solid because I needed energy. I was going 90 miles an hour. I don't sleep very much, as you know. It's really hard for me to sleep. So I definitely needed fuel and sustenance.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even a conscious decision. It was kind of it was sort of just the buildup of all of the pressure in my life, and then all of the areas that I feared I was insufficient, and all of the little messages that had been swirling around in my brain. I tried so hard to tune out the negativity. I'm such an empath. I am such an emotional and like just passionate individual. I tried so hard to tune out all of the nonsense and all the superficial stuff that was projected onto women.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, there's only so much of a wall that you can build until some of those messages filter past. So I succumbed to basically everything that I hated about society.
Yeah.
And then I had to work to pick up all the pieces, because I knew if I kept doing that to my body, I knew it would end only one way. And anorexia is actually pretty common. When I was at the University of Florida back in the early 2000s,
Wow.
at that time, that campus had, I believe, about 50,000 students total, and it was one of the schools in the entire country that had the highest rate of eating disorders among women.
That's
So,
amazing.
you know, I was just another statistic
Yeah.
that kind of added to this really insidious quest for perfectionism that didn't even exist. We're chasing after these
Yeah.
ideals made by people we've never met, and ideals that we don't even agree with. And at some point, I told myself, okay, if you want to continue doing the good work of really helping people and animals, which has been a motivation for as long as I can remember, if you want to connect with other living beings and if you want to leave a positive impact,
Yeah.
you're going to have to take care of yourself, and
Yeah.
it's going to
That,
suck. And you
that,
might not like it. And guess what? Everything you eat is probably going to taste like sawdust, because
yeah.
you killed your taste buds and killed your senses so much. But I don't care. Like, it was almost a matter of, it's going to suck, and I'm just going to have to do it if
Sure.
I hope to carry on and like continue the legacy that I started.
Yeah, it's amazing. Let's everybody just come back to this part of the broadcast teaching moment there. You know, I'm going to talk a little bit about what you've just said. We're live, everybody here, live streaming, peeking into the studio, and we'll be cleaning up some of the sound issues we've had. Lisa, you check your sound again. We're getting that static back, and then while you're doing that, I'm just going to pause the story again. No worries, we're doing great. Just talk to me as you're okay. That
How's this? Can you hear me?
Perfect. Okay, so whatever you did there, bravo, because you fixed it so fast. So let's keep going. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. I'm just amazed by that. So I want to just talk at you here a little bit. But before that, everybody, we've got an author here, Lisa Wilkes, who's written a book called Mid-Flight. Hold that up again, Lisa. Let's full screen you.
There we go.
All right. Look how beautiful that cover is. Tell me about the cover. What's happening on that cover? And by the way, I have one too.
So I think there's a lot of symbolism here. Obviously, the airplane refers to the fact that my two main characters both work for an airline, and they are free spirits and they're adventurers. But also, if you notice where the phase of flight is for the airplane, it is taking off and then coasting, right? So it basically symbolizes this union, this connection that is just taking flight. It's just getting started. And really, the possibilities are endless. That airplane is going to go, clear across the country potentially. And what Lexi and Jason can achieve by merging their talents and merging their passion is equally
Yeah,
limitless.
everybody, I'm smiling here. I'm gonna just turn on another camera here so you can see. Let's just change the view there. I'm so excited. I have this book here, and when it arrived, Lisa even wrote something to me in the front, which makes me so happy. I put it on my shelf. It's a keeper. So everybody, I want to highly recommend Mid-Flight. And first of all, authors, we aren't known. The way we get known is if you read and post reviews for our books. And so I'd like you to get her book and post a review on Amazon or Goodreads, the places that most people will post reviews, and get the word out there. It'll get the word out, and we'll hear more and get the passion of her story. Something in the back here, I just want to read this, that it says 2037 was a really bad year. Lexi Brennan's best friend was killed in a plane crash. 2 weeks later, an intergalactic crisis threatened the fate of humanity. Then it goes on to say Lexi opposed this vicious attack. Then again, what could she do? An eccentric flight attendant drawn to glamorous trysts? She felt powerless to incite change. If that doesn't get you excited, everybody, to pick up this book. So here's one of the things I want to just kind of tie a bow on, just from some of the things you've been sharing with us. Going back to what you did share with us, I'm going to put it back on the screen there. And again, this is some of the things that you wrote to me about the backstory. So everybody, just pulling this together, here we have a brilliant author with us, Lisa, who acknowledges her journey living, I like to say living well with mental illness, because there's no stigma to it. In fact, Lisa, one of the things I learned is that, about 80 or 90% of people will have some form of anxiety. Anxiety is, I got to share this with the audience. When I went through my cognitive behavioral therapy, just move this off the screen, Lisa, they actually taught me how to define anxiety by a fraction. You know what fractions are in math? And this is a definition of anxiety that I was taught, and we're going to hear maybe what you have to say about the definition you have. It's the numerator is the fear that bad things will happen, over the denominator, the fear that I can't cope with bad things happening. That's really anxiety. So my brain is always rooted in worry in the future, worrying about things that haven't happened yet, etc. And one of the things they told me is make human connection to other people. So let's go back to just some of the things that you were sharing with me. Everybody, Lisa has chosen writing and also, rescue, pets. And there's some things that she's written here also about, you can see on the second page, it says relationships along with the commitment to service sparked the healing process. Over the years, I earned my master's in social work, and et cetera, et cetera. So let's talk about that key point there, that is about the connection to others and the pets. Oh, we have somebody with you there. Is that Kit Kat?
Yeah, I have a guest.
Hey, buddy. let's
so cute.
Let's full screen her with you. Oh, she's beautiful. What kind of a cat, do you know?
She's so cute.
She's
This
such
is
a
my
doll.
little tabby. This is Kit Kat. This is Kit Kat Sushi. She was found in a bucket as
my
a
goodness.
teeny kitten. She fit in my hands, and I was substitute teaching part-time, and one of the teachers had found her, couldn't keep her, and I said, you know what? This is a sign from the universe that I'm meant to adopt a cat today.
That's amazing. I give you permission to keep her with you and just leave her on screen if you want. That's totally okay. That's why we're attending. But
she does what she wants, so she will return when she decides to.
Yeah, I've never had kittens. I've had dogs, so I'm learning through you. But everybody, let's talk about this and how you ever hear more from Lisa. So what you in your book? So you're starting to write in your work about social issues, and there's threads in your book that come through. Tell me about that. How are you using that?
I couldn't write a novel and not include all of the things that I had seen and experienced and talked about with people. During my grad school internship, I was working in the behavioral health unit of a hospital.
Pause for a second.
For 8 months.
Pause. Your sound just tweaked again. So do that little thing, that little adjustment you did.
It doesn't seem to last, which is really frustrating. It does not seem.
It's
Are
like,
we back?
yeah, perfect. All right, so let me cue
We're
it up
back.
again. Yeah, we're back. So let me cue it up
Okay.
again. It's like that. Here's the analogy. 3, 2, 1. Here's the analogy about things. It's like the little voices in our head that just don't keep going away, and we have to keep working on it. That's what the sound issue is today. We have to
It's like
keep.
a
It's
recurring battle.
exactly. But here's the
Yeah.
teaching moment of this, and whether I keep this in the show or not, my brain just went on a journey because of this little story that's evolved. That one of the things I learned through cognitive behavioral therapy is you have to learn hacks, and you have to actually over and over again do that to reorganize your neurons, to retrain it. So look at you. We started off with a little sound glitch, and now it's like you just reach forward and click, and it's fixed. But you're smiling. So going back to, so you're writing about social issues, and you're using that work to do something meaningful. Tell me just succinctly what's happening there.
I just wanted to foster a sense of inclusion. I had seen so much. My grad school internship, I was working in the behavioral health unit of a hospital, and I had another book kind of that I was mentally preparing. My first
Yeah,
book had been accepted for contract. I knew that I was writing, another book that I figured it was going to be another lighthearted romance, just like my first one. I had the plot, but everything that I saw on full display, all of the injustice that had taken this psychological toll on my patients in the behavioral health unit, all of the ways that they had been abused, often by people in power, and often in ways that are legal, because bigotry has been like codified into law. It is part
yeah,
of a lot of our laws, and it is allowed and accepted. And I could not write another page without in some way alluding to the consequences of really extreme institutionalized injustice. I couldn't. I had this just very compelling force that told me, that first book that I wrote will always be my book baby. Flight Path's always going to be my book baby, but it is kind of just a fun little trek across the country that ends up in a romance. This time around, I knew I had to have something with kind of societal value and merit, and I wanted a book that didn't just take people on a quick carefree journey. I wanted a book that actually really fostered a sense of inclusion, respect, a
yeah.
sense of empowerment that, whatever industry we work in, whatever personality type we consider ourselves, whatever addictions we battle, because Lexi has many of them, there are still ways that we can make an impact within our sphere. There are ways that we can stand up for what's right, even when the odds are stacked against us.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much, everybody. We're with Lisa Wilkes, the author of, well, a couple books. We're talking about Mid-Flight, the one today. And I just want to flash an image up on the screen there. And I was so taken back. I changed this image. Everybody, we're looking at the show art for the show, and I decided to play with the pictures and put you in a little bit of a black and white with the book there. Very compelling. One of the things I wrote on this was Mid-Flight, not just provocative storytelling. And so I want to get into more of the storytelling. When I read your book, and everybody, I've read the whole book, I just thoroughly loved it. I shouldn't say read it. I actually listened to it through a PDF reader because I have visual impairment from my concussion. But I just was gripped by the stories. It kept me going. But there's something that happened remarkably, and in certain stories, it actually got me emotionally into the story. You evoked in me other thoughts and in experiences from my own life. And so I've been fascinated by this. And as a fiction writer, I think you give the world a gift, in that you may not always realize, but you're telling a story that comes from within you, from your experiences and maybe what the outside world's given you. And it's such a well-written book that way. But as you're telling it, do you ever wonder what happens to Tom when he's reading it? Is he interpreting my words and following my story as I've written, or is something else happening to him? So we're going to have some fun today and get you to turn to, I haven't set this up and read it. I've read the whole book, but you've chosen a passage that we're going to get you to read. Everybody loves an author doing their own reading. So tell me when you're ready, and I'm going to make this a little larger than the screen. And what we're doing here, everybody, is we're testing out my brain. And when she reads this passage, we're going to talk after about what actually has happened. Okay, so tell me when you're ready.
Okay, I
Okay.
am ready.
All right, go
All
for
right.
it.
Where there had been ice, a bold flame now burned. It would grow and grow, Lexi knew. This was her biggest talent. Lexi had mastered clocks and brainwaves in one fell swoop. Maybe we don't need sleep after all. The kittenish quality of her own voice rang in her ears. Jason smiled. Will you hate me if you're exhausted tomorrow? Lexi shrugged. The beer had dried, leaving a sticky film on her sandals. Not if you make it worth my while. A buzz sounded in Lexi's ear, indicating Katie had sent a photo. The image flashed across Lexi's cornea. Cleo was perched on a windowsill behind the couch, a plush green toy dangling from her mouth. Cleopatra looked content. She was comfortable in Lexi's apartment, claiming certain spaces as her own, but nothing would ever compare to her previous domain, Lexi knew. The cat already lived in the best home, with the best human. She was the luckiest feline in the whole world until the day her father was obliterated on a flight that Lexi was supposed to work. A tidal wave of regret smacked Lexi, weakening her knees. She loved Cleo so much. Then again, the cat was a furry 10-pound reminder of Lexi's vast and unforgivable shortcomings. It was a complicated relationship. She glanced up at Jason, hoping to rekindle the flame inside her, but adrenaline had been replaced by something else. Emptiness, perhaps. A distinct sense of absence. Her veins ran dry as far as Lexi could tell. She was a shell of a human. The liquor was wearing off. Lexi knew she needed another drink to keep the sadness at bay. Autoscan flashed across her cornea once more. This time it was an annual reminder. The clock had struck midnight, which meant it was officially Jorge's birthday. She hadn't had the heart to delete the recurring date from her calendar after JR's death in 2037. Well, fuck. Lexi couldn't recover from this. Her mood had flipped, and there was no going back. Curiosity nagged at her. She didn't want to know. Really, she didn't. But also she did. Lexi swallowed. She willed herself not to speak, yet the burning question proceeded to fall from her lips. Jason, who did you lose that night?
Wow. That's just powerful. Let's pause for a minute. I just want to do another check-in on sound just to make sure before we actually go deeper into this. So just adjust your sound again. Just check it out. I think there's at the end a little bit of the static came back. Just talk at me while you do that.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good.
Okay.
Yep. All right. And so now I'm going to ask you just to tell me a bit about that when you wrote it, what was going through your mind. Tell me a little bit more about it. Take me into that story.
So Lexi has spent at this point a year with just this deep, pervasive guilt. And, it's the middle of this pathogen being unleashed. So she can't even really connect with people, at least not in person, to kind of work through that guilt and be open and honest. There's kind of a distance between herself and everyone else during that grieving period. So she's battling grief. She's battling misplaced guilt. It's not her fault that the aircraft was struck by a meteor, but she feels so guilty because she was supposed to work that flight with her best friend, and she traded off at the last minute, and she feels like she basically abandoned him, and her life's work has been protecting the people she loves, and yet every opportunity that arises, she feels like she fails to do so. So it's kind of just, I was trying to capture how she loves this cat, but also the cat reminds her of all the things that she's done wrong, and really all the ways that she hates herself, all of the things that she wishes she could change about herself. And then obviously she has her go-to numbing preferences, the things that kind of help her alleviate more of the difficult feelings. But
there's something about beer.
They're not always available.
There's something about beer I saw there. And so Lexi is one of the main, I don't know how you referred to it in writing, one of the main characters. It's a she, correct?
Yeah,
and
she's the protagonist. Yep.
Protagonist. And that was a scene, and the cat was part of that scene, right? And so it's interesting. So I'm gonna just show you something. As you've been writing, or as you've been talking, and everybody, I've been making notes madly on my little paper here about things that you were saying and where my brain was going. So I'm gonna have some. You want to have some fun with that? Let me
Sure.
just.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay. So you don't know what you just did to my brain, but everybody gonna set this up. Here's what's happening. And believe it or not, what we take in visually from the outside world. So I'm looking at Lisa and I'm taking in audibly what she said. Only a small percentage of that actually is what my brain tells me is going on. It actually comes in because visually there's so much information, our brains can't react fast enough. So we actually, about 90% of what I'm interpreting, the story Lisa's telling me, comes from within my neural nets of my own thoughts. And so my brain is fast trying to tell me, okay, here's how you got to feel, here's how you got to react. But my brain is taking everything and it's trying to figure out from what's in me, what exactly am I seeing going on here? And this is the magic about storytelling. So now my brain is lit up and I'm feeling like I'm part of this story. I'm feeling these emotions that are happening because my brain is finding things similar and connecting to similar things, Lisa, in my billions and billions of brain cells, that my brain is saying, this is what's going on. So it's bringing that out and it's making me feel things. And so here's some of the wacky things that I started thinking about. You talk about the pathogen and feeling guilt and grief. That for when I had a brain, I'll go back to, I wrote about in my book that, gosh, it goes back maybe 20 years. I was a high performing chief executive officer and everything was going well. And some dramatic changes happened in my life. One of them was my family got caught in a Ponzi scheme, which you might be familiar with this. One of these sick things that people do, right, to rip you off. Mm-hmm. And we lost our home and we lost things. And one of the things this is what your story evoked in my thoughts, believe it or not, right at this moment in time. And it's not a bad thing, by the way. But what happened was, Lisa, is back then, because I was financially well, I had bought an apartment for my senior mom. And I have a brother who's got Tourette's syndrome. And I love my brother, but he was living with her and it became very difficult. There was like senior maltreatment. So my mom was calling me. So anyway, make a long story short, I ended up buying an apartment and I thought, my brain said, if I can put my mom in it and then my brother wouldn't be there. When we hit the Ponzi scheme, I was just so ashamed. I felt so much guilt that I didn't tell my family what really had happened. And I ended up moving my mom out, selling the apartment just because we had to get rid of it. I never told the truth. And a big part of it was about this guilt and shame. So I carried that for a long time. And I took a lot of grief from my family for about a decade until I finally came to terms with it and found the courage through some therapy, to be able to actually explain to my mom what really had happened and apologize to her. A couple other things. I had you're talking about the beer. It reminded me of some of the darkest moments in my own story where I was struggling as a high-performing business leader, but I was dealing with these voices in my head because I dealt with a difficult childhood. So I would see on the outside world things that were not quite true. So when you start talking about your story, for whatever reason, I went back to this this moment where my dad had an affair. My dad left home and he went traveling, and we used to hang out with three young women, or they're women now, but three young girls. And these were the children of our doctor. So we had become friends with our doctor. And I remember being at their house and we were baking cookies, and they had these tiny little kittens. They had a bunch of these kittens. And for whatever reason, I was playing with one of the kittens, but I was quite mean to it. I probably did some things I shouldn't have done. I kind of shoved one of the kittens, and I was really angry with this kitten. And so I don't know if your story is teaching me something, but it unlocked that this happened maybe 40 years ago, that I remembered being in the home of these three girls and the exact moment in time when my parents were separated, and we just were surviving just to get out of the story and this little kitten. And now I'm feeling what's the meaning of that? That there was something I was trying to do to control this kitten. I think there was something I was trying to do, not to harm it, but I wasn't being nice to the kitten. Let's put it that way. And I think I was taking out my frustration and my anger on what was going on in my life, and I was projecting that outward. And so again, you can see what's happening, right? All these amazing little threads are coming out of me just from you reading that one paragraph in your book. And what it's doing for me, and I'll finish on this and give it back to you for your thoughts. Everybody, this is what happens in real life when we're seeing something on TV, when we're reading something, an author's book. We are, if it's storytelling, we're digging up all these threads and thoughts, and they're not all bad. Many of them are positive, but it's taking us on a journey somewhere in our brains. And I think this is the power of your work, Lisa. And I know I want to say thank you for letting me dominate there for a minute. But the gift that you have is you're by that passage, you're giving me some hope as well. You're basically through the story showing me what the protagonist does and how they actually cope and survive, right? Dealing with that grief, that misplaced guilt, all of that stuff. I think is why I go back to your book and I read it again and again, certain parts of it, because it's giving me this. I don't know how to explain it to you. It's like this visceral experience. It's like, oh my God, there's stuff even up until today reading your book, I never remembered. And that little scene with the kitten and the baking cookies, honestly, Lisa, I've never remembered that part of my thoughts until right now. And I'm not making that up. And so that's giving me, one thing it does is it makes me feel really proud that over a lifetime I've actually overcome some of that guilt, and I made amends with my mom. But the last part I want to share with you is what I'm really interested in is what did Lisa do? She's writing this story, but what did Lisa do in her life, and what did these characters do to cope and get through to the other side? Now, let me just give it back to you. I said a lot of stuff there. I might have confused you and just thrown up on you, but that's what was going on in my head just because of one paragraph. It's amazing to me, but talk at me. Tell me, you think I'm...
No, I'm following and I understand what you're saying.
Do your stuff. Lisa, just pause again.
Boy.
Yeah, do a quick check. No worries.
All right. Not speaking, it goes dormant, and then it
Okay,
gets
now
all
it's good.
kinds of...
It's good now.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry,
Okay.
when you see the final production, before you answer that, do you have any idea, honestly, as a writer, the impact your work has through storytelling on your followers? Like what I just said, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel that I am in the process of achieving my goals as a writer. For me, it's always been about connecting. It's been about bridging gaps between people and linking experiences.
I just gave you a round of applause there after I laughed at you. Hit the wrong button. Let's
Thank you.
be proud out loud. I love you so much in your story. You are amazing. Just keep talking because that's exactly it. Keep going.
Yeah, I really want to resonate with people, and I want for people to feel seen, heard, understood, for them to kind of take a closer look and really examine different experiences and things that are related to any of the topics in the books. I am not so interested in I've never been motivated by having commercial value. It's not like the dollar sign that matters to me. It's not the marketability of the book. It's the way that it can resonate with people and connect with people. And that's kind of what fuels me most of all. And that's why, my books are hybrids. I don't fall into a specific genre. I don't
Yeah.
write tropes, which are tired old stories that have been done before. I write original pieces that I really hope will sit with my readers and will inspire them and cause them to think differently about the world and to reevaluate some things and to remember things.
Exactly.
And for me personally, the best coping mechanism that I've found, the healthiest one, because I have many, some are destructive, some are a lot more beneficial. But I think the best one for me, and it is part of the reason I started writing books at age 8, is to find and take pride in my sense of purpose. And for me, that is connecting with others, animals and humans alike. I am deeply empathetic, and I like to alleviate suffering where I can. I
Yeah.
like to express myself through the written word. I like to use that for a really great cause. My books, when they sell, I donate my royalties to animal rescue. So I'm not really interested in making money off of this.
That's
I'm interested
fantastic.
in kind of leaving an
Yeah.
impact, and helping out where I can.
That's fantastic.
But I think for me, the healthiest coping mechanism I can ever have is really chasing after and valuing and applauding my sense of purpose. Because without that, there have been moments in my life where, I've felt disconnected, or I have felt so overwhelmed by anxiety, or my insomnia is so rampant that I can't even, think clearly. And that's when my sense of purpose becomes a little hazier, and I feel more disconnected from what fuels my soul, from the
Yeah.
motivations that kind of keep me going. And so when I reconnect with that and I can see the difference that I'm making, I can see the people that I'm impacting, I can see the way that people really appreciate the words that I've strung together in these novels, I think that rejuvenates me and keeps me moving forward even when the situation gets sticky.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about you today, celebrating. Hold up that book again, everybody, with Lisa Wilkes, who's the author of her second book here, Mid-Flight. What a beautiful cover, and there's so much going on there. Thank you, Lisa. The thing that I want to just again acknowledge is that, again, based on what you just read, these weird thoughts and emotions and feelings came up to me, but they actually are for a purpose. And I'm going to string it together, just that one about the pets. When I was a kid, my parents had a Doberman boxer, and I think it was a maltreated dog, and people used to poke at it. So his name was Prince, and I was kind of scared of the dog. And when I got my first pet, this of my own, this was my baby Shadow, miniature Shih Tzu, and I remember watching my wife how she would deal with Shadow, and I had difficulty being close to her, loving her. I didn't really know how to do that. And some of this comes from my upbringing as a child of maltreatment. I think reading the Bible taught me how to actually love and care for others, but I didn't really know how to love and care for a pet. How stupid does that sound from a guy who is a top leader? It's your book that's evoking this for me to tell you this. And then Shadow passes away, and I was the one, because my daughter was away and my wife chickened out. I had to take her down to the place around the corner here and have her put down. And it was the hardest thing, because I remember they came back and I didn't expect it. They told me I had to be in the room with her. So they gave her the first injection. And then I just remember I was leaning over her and I was looking at her, and I said, I'm here for you. I love you. I'm here. And I remember saying, I'm sorry. I don't think I've ever been the best person to you. And then the guy came back in and gave the lethal injection, and he left. And I just remember I could feel the life leaving her body. And it was this sense of not just sadness, but it was a sense of being free, that before she passed, I apologized for something. And then now you're talking to me and I'm bringing up that story of the kitten when I was, in my teens at these people, the girl's house, and I was not treating the kitten very well. And all of that has really taught me something really valuable through you, because I'm sitting here watching you with rescue pets, and you're petting them and you're so happy and you're loving them. And I'm going like, you just taught me. So I'm going to make a commitment here. It probably will be in the next little while, but we've been talking about getting another pet. I'm going to get another pet. My daughter said get a rescue, and I was averse to it. I'm making a commitment that I'm going to be getting another pet, but this time I'm going to love the pet. When I went through my depression and whatnot, when I had my brain injury, Shadow was all I had some days, but I didn't see the value in that little one to comfort me. And yet everybody I talk to, including you now on the show, unlocks for me that pets actually, their unconditional love. That's for mental health. That's an amazing thing. So you got me emotional, but this proves my experiment. And when I produced the show, I used you as the guinea pig, that you probably didn't know you're going to be meeting a guy like me, and you're going to be reading a passage of your book, and all that was going to come out of me. And it's actually ended up freeing me and putting me in a space where I finally figured out what was missing, and now I'm going to go out and get a rescue pet, and I'm going to actually get to relive my life over again because of you. So thank you so much for teaching me that through your story. And that is what makes you and your work so awesome. And now I'm going to give it back to you before I honor you with a few things, which I do on my show. Back to you to any last words or anything you want to say to people about about the book and the work you're doing. Anything at all?
No, I think we kind of
Hang
covered
on.
it all. I
Pause.
just am.
Time out. Tweak your sound again. It happened. It started happening.
Oh boy.
Resilience.
Oh boy.
That's what we've learned.
Yep.
Patience and
Persistence. All right. How are we now?
Still
Is this
happening.
better?
Yeah, it's
Still
better
happening.
now. Hold on. Talk. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Testing.
How are we now?
Yeah. Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm gonna restart that again. Hold on. Time out. So 3, 2, 1.
I think it just whenever it doesn't hear me, it goes dormant. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening because when I'm speaking, it's fine, but then there'll be a pause and then it just triggers the whole thing. Yeah.
And a little bit of help for you, and this, we won't put this in the show, but if people are there listening, this is a little bit of experience of someone who's got into radio and live broadcasting, but learned through my mistakes. Hardwired is the best. So if you're doing a broadcast, hardwiring, not internet, anything Bluetoothy is going to do that. It just like I have something that does that too. All of a sudden I was in a show and it ended up going through my Bluetooth speaker in the living room and I lost the sound feed. So hardwired.
Yep.
But so I'm going to go back again. I'm going to say what I said and we're going to get you to last word. So 3, 2, 1.
All right.
So we've learned so much from you today through your work. Any last words for us about the work, what you're trying to do, to change the world? Any final wisdom for us?
I just want to tell people to be proud of who they are, and to, take the hostility for what it's worth. It's a real hostile climate out there right now. I'm working to fight against that, but there is a lot of aggression and a lot of violence toward folks that have been kind of set in the background of society for very unfair reasons. So just keep being you. Keep doing your best. Know that you are loved and supported, and know that my current book and my future books are going to foster a sense of inclusion. My goal has never really been a self-serving one. I just want to enhance this world, to leave it a little bit better than I found it. And I guess my words are kind of my favorite way to do that.
And how can people get a hold of you? Is there a website or something?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So my website's my one-stop shop. It has my books. It has all of my creative ventures. And again, all the money that is raised through those crafts that I do, the artwork that I make, it all goes to animal rescue. So that website is the one-stop shop. It's my full name. So lisamichelewilkes.com. And you can find anything you're looking for there.
All right. Everybody, we'll put it in the show notes as well. And so, Lisa, now it's my time to honor you as we move to wrapping up. So a couple of things. I have my other camera here. People on the podcast won't see this, but I madly write notes as the guest is speaking. This isn't preset. And I've been writing down words. And so I'm going to honor you with these four leadership words. Okay. The first one is resilience. As those who maybe just joined us later or will see this, this is a woman who, took the points in her life and turned it into something significant to go out and help others. You have this amazing ability to deal with things. We just learned that today on the show about the sound glitch we had. So you are resilient. That's a leadership trait. Number 2 is patience. Hopefully you know that. You might have learned that from your cat. But your patience is unbelievably awesome. Number 3 is wisdom. They say the difference between knowledge and wisdom is time. And so, Lisa, you've given us so much. What I also like is you're a flight attendant and you've actually traveled the skies and you have experiences that you're putting into your writing, pulling in all the social issues. That's amazing. And the last one is love. Yeah, it comes out of you. I feel like I could relate and talk to you, but when you were saying things about your work and situations, you come across as somebody who generally loves people. and you love your pets. That's part of your family. So congratulations. Now I'm going to show you something else here, and you see on my screen where I am, the Quiet Warrior picture on the screen up there. You see that? All right. So you're going to get an award right now, and I'm just showing everybody here. I'm going to try and maybe full screen this one. So just hold on here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. What happened to Lisa? Now I'm having my tech moment. Hold on, Lisa. All right, everybody, I'm just going to do this and then bring Lisa back on so we can. So this is, if you can see that there, Lisa, I know you're still there. The audience can't see you, but these are called challenge coins. They were started in World War I, and they're hand painted and crafted. I had this designed, raised lettering. They're beautiful. And the front of it is the art for the show, and there's some key words around it which are meaningful. But on the back is the fully illustrated narrative of the hero's journey, which is about storytelling and the power of that to the brain and drawing people in and making us always remember you and your stories. So today, I'm just going to bring you back on the screen here with me. We're inducting you into the Quiet Warrior, I call it the community. So congratulations, Lisa, for being part of that. These coins now are carried. We have about 17 countries, and only 40 go out a year in a population of 8 billion, because not too many people will come on a show and demonstrate how they've taken adversity in their life, turned it into a gift, and they're actually helping people every day. So welcome to the Quiet Warrior Tribe.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Tweak your sound again one more time, and then we're just going to go to wrapping up here. Just double check, tweak. Talk at me again.
Yeah. Okay. It is.
Still crackly.
So how is that?
Okay, better. Perfect.
Are we better? Okay.
Yeah. So let me pick it up, okay? Don't say anything. Just smile. And all right, so there's some fireworks celebration for Lisa, who is an amazing author and just inducted into the Quiet Warrior Tribe. I'm going to give you a virtual round of applause. Hold up the book one more time, and I'm going to make one more commitment to you. We're going to full screen that. Mid-flight, everybody, Lisa Wilkes. I'm sure there's more coming from this author. And so I'm announcing today that I've written a 5-star review for you on your book. I loved it, and I'm going to be creating a JPEG for you. It will be up on Amazon in the next day. So congratulations, everybody. You got to get this book and check it out. And the last thing I'm going to just say, hold on a second here, Lisa. I lost my train of thought too. Just looking for something in the studio here. Okay, we'll pick that back up again. So everybody, you want to live your life with passion and purpose like you see Lisa does, and live the life that you deserve and desire, and pick up that book and give it a rating. You're going to have a great experience reading it. Lisa, thanks so much for being here. And I'm going to have you back again, I know, because there's so much more we haven't talked about.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to The Quiet Warrior Show. Create is a motive-based leadership development firm. www.kreat.ca.
Okay, I'm just going to end the broadcast.